So I came into college having a knowledge of who God was, but I really wasn't heading any direction towards God. And I really wanted to fill myself up with whatever would make me happy and whatever would be most fun at the time. And what that consisted of for me was in pursuing a great major and also pursuing a career of being a high-profile college basketball coach. So about 2 weeks in, actually, I met a guy named Joe. And Joe is just an awesome dude, and I could see right away that he was just a really fun guy. And so as I got to know him, I realized that, and Joe said he was a Christian and so did I, but our lives were going completely opposite directions. I knew that Joe had something, he was living for a purpose, and he was fulfilled, and he had joy that I'd never seen before. And I knew I wanted that. And so Joe began, as I hung out with him, just to share with me about who God was and what it looked like to have a relationship with God. And so I made a decision to pursue a relationship with God daily. Joe just began to read the Bible with me. He began to pray with me. He began to even show me what it looked like to be a spiritual leader with the guys around me. We grew together in our relationship with God, but we also had an incredible friendship. About that time, my sophomore year, I met a guy named Brett. And Brett had just recently made a decision to follow Christ. And I started to hang out with Brett more and more, and I began to show him how to read the Bible, how to pray, and also how to be a spiritual leader with guys around him, just like Joe had showed me. And I realized, as I was hanging out with Brett more and more and investing in him, that this was a purpose that I wanted to give my life to, and this was the most important thing I could give my life to. I knew I wanted to impact someone just like Joe had invested in me.
So I came into college about 2 months after making a decision to follow Christ. I really wanted to grow in my personal relationship with God, but had no desire to share my faith or to make disciples at all. I wanted to be a spiritual leader, but I really didn't know what that looked like or what that would entail. So I began to hang out with Bill and just saw in Bill's life, just the way he interacted with people and just the way he lived out his faith. As Bill and I hung out more and more, he encouraged me to step out of my comfort zone and share what God had done in my life with the guys around me. And Bill and I moved into the dorms together my sophomore year, and there's a ton of awesome guys on the floor, one of which was named Drake. And Drake just had a charisma and faithfulness about him that really made him stand out above the rest. Drake expressed an interest to learn what it looked like to follow Christ, and so I just shared with him what it looked like for me and what happened in my life. As Drake and I began to kind of read the Bible together and kind of pray together, Drake made that decision to follow Christ. And so then I just started doing with him what Joe did with Bill and what Bill did with me to help him grow in his relationship with God.
When I first came to college, I never had the intent of strengthening my relationship with God. I just wanted to meet people and party like crazy. And the first two people that I met was my RA Bill and his roommate Brett. And when Brett started showing me what it was like to follow Jesus, I made that decision and I found something that I never could have dreamed of. When Brett started showing me what it was like to read the Bible and to pray to God and grow in my relationship with him, he really showed me that it wasn't about me. It was about living for God and not just listening to the Bible, but living it out every day. The only reason I found that was because Bill and Brett made an effort to be role models for me and to really challenge me in strengthening my relationship with God. Just like Joe showed Bill, Bill showed Brett, and Brett showed me, I can show somebody else what it's like to find new life in Christ. And maybe even next semester they can be sitting right next to us on this couch.